welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is the first time you're joining me. For today I have another top 5 video for you, and this time it's the top 5 decks I'm most excited to work with in 2020, which is a bit of a mouthful of a title, I know, but it's the best that I could come up with. So if you've been watching my channel or you've been following me on Instagram, you'll know that I like to use a different deck every month. And I'm currently still working through my collection. I have 11 decks left in my collection that I haven't worked with at all yet, which I'm going to work with through 2020. And of those 11, these are the top 5 that I'm most looking forward to working with next year. Again, they're in no particular order, they're just the order that I happen to grab them. And jumping straight in, I'm going to start with the Seer Tarot. So this is the Hay House version by Chris-Anne. I mean, the Indies by Chris-Anne as well. That sentence was worded really badly. But this deck is, I mean, it's been everywhere, right? It's really popular at the moment. I did have a problem with the first deck and it was really badly cut. The second deck is not so bad. It's still not perfect, but it's not so bad. And mainly I'm just happy, really happy with the artwork. This one is obviously still, most of them are probably still going to be in order, so you're going to get loads of the top, like 5 or 6 cards and not much else, because I'm not going to go through them all. But I love this Empress. This is the deck that I'll probably work with in January, actually. I'm quite excited to work with it. It's really bohemian, and I really love the bohemian sort of artworky style of this deck. I love the colouring. I just love it. The Strength card is one of my favourites. Is actually one of my favourite Strength cards of any deck that I own right now. I will probably say that more than once. But the Hermit card again is beautiful. Even the Wheel of Fortune, which is a card that I don't normally really have any strong feelings for one way or the other, I actually really like in this deck. I'm really excited to work with it. Really excited. I just think it's just beautiful. And I know it's been very popular, and I know that people who have it have really enjoyed working with it, so that kind of adds to my excitement a little bit. The other one, which is another big one that kind of was released around the same time and is another really popular one at the moment, is the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sterle. If you don't know, it's better to just not say, right, than say it and get it wrong. So this one is sort of in order, but not really. I must have messed around and shuffled with this one. I think I've been practicing shuffling with this one because the cardstock is so big. Like, it's really chunky and actually quite plasticky. I don't love the cardstock of this deck. It's my only complaint about this deck is the cardstock. But this is another one with something that I said very similar about the This Might Hurt Tarot, is that I love the meaning and the general imagery that comes through in an RWS deck, but I'm just not that keen on traditional RWS. I'm not keen on the artwork. It doesn't resonate with me at all, traditional artwork. So I was really keen to get hold of RWS decks, like clones, rather than inspired decks, that were just a bit more modern, a bit more diverse, in a bit more queer friendly. I pre-ordered this one, and then This Might Hurt also came onto my radar at the same time, and I really ummed and ahed about whether I needed both decks. I mean, one of the things I really like in this deck is the body diversity as well, which even in very diverse decks we see nowadays, there are more and more diverse decks coming out. It doesn't always feed into the body type. We often see quite diverse decks, but still with one very thin, aesthetically pleasing body type in the women particularly. So I quite like that this deck is diverse in that way as well. I like the colouring of this deck. I like that there's old people and young people in this deck. It's just the RWS deck that I want in my life. And I just very much, very, very much am excited to work with it. It's probably going to feature a lot more in my beginner's guide videos, which I will be picking up next year, from the beginning of next year, because it's a lovely comparison against the Centennial Borderless Weight Smith that I have. But yeah, just very, very pleased to have this in my collection. As I say, I know there's a lot of people who did kind of like an either or. They either had this or this might hurt, but I think it was definitely worth getting both for me, and I am really excited to work with this deck. The next one is the one that I won in a giveaway, and I probably never would have bought for myself, but actually once I started going through the deck I really, really liked it, but I just haven't had a chance to work with it even though I've had it a while, and that is the Triple Goddess Tarot. This is by Jamie Elford, artwork by Franco Rivoli. It's a low Scarabeo deck, so it's, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I was going to say then. Again, this one is very much in order because I haven't actually done anything with it yet. I love that low Scarabeo have started to get rid of their borders, and instead they've just left us these little bits on the bottom. I think it just goes to show that they've really listened to their customers, right? And I think the cards just pop so much better. Now, the Triple Goddess is not something that I tend to work with in my own personal practice. I don't really do the Maiden Mother Crone belief system. It just isn't something that sits within how I believe and how I practice. So it isn't, in that respect, that isn't why I'm drawn to this deck. I think why I'm so drawn to this deck is because it's got a real fantasy feel about it. And that's what I love about it. I am a huge fantasy geek. I like fantasy films. I like fantasy books. I like fantasy artwork. And this just kind of really fits in with that sort of aesthetic that I personally love. So I think that's why it really works for me, personally. And I really appreciate that, that the Mages goes through the cycle of the Maiden Mother Crone. I think that's a nice, unique way of doing the deck. But personally, that wouldn't be the draw for me. The fantasy artwork is the draw for me. The other two decks that I have, I am so especially excited about, that I already have videos on my channel basically gushing about both of these decks, which you can check out if you want to see the decks in more detail. I will try. I haven't done walkthroughs to the Lightseers and the Modern Witch Tarot because they're everywhere, and if you want to see a walkthrough, it's not going to be that difficult for you to find one. But I have done for the Goddess Tarot and these other two decks that I'm about to show you, so I will link those in the description box below so that you can check out the like flip throughs of those decks if you are interested. The one of them I did get particularly gushy in, but I'm sure you can handle that. So the next deck is the Ellis deck. Now, again, this is, I've just been talking about fantasy artwork, and this for me I mean, this isn't just fantasy artwork, this is a whole freaking fantasy world in a deck, which I just love it. I gushed about this one already in the video that I made, which I will, as I say, link in the description box below if you haven't seen it. I am so excited to work with this deck. And it's funny because it was never a deck that was on my radar until somebody emailed me, till one of my subscribers emailed me and asked me if I would like a copy. They had a copy that they trimmed and that they were moving out of their collection, and would I like it? And I looked it up online and I was like, hell yes, I would like it. It is just... But once I got it, there were a few cards like the Eight of Swords and I think the Queen of Swords, which I'd seen before and just had never really figured out where they were from. And as is often the way, as soon as somebody mentioned this deck to me, suddenly I started seeing it on Instagram all the time while I was waiting for it to arrive, which is just kind of how it goes, I suppose, isn't it? But yeah, I particularly... Normally, I'm very much a mages person. I'm very, very drawn to the mages, and it's the mages that are the big factor for me on whether I like a deck or not. And then the minors, I can still be quite picky about, but not as much. But in this deck, I love the minors. I absolutely love the minors because each of the minor suits feels like its own little society within this fantasy world that Taylor Ellis has built. And I love that. I really, really love it. So that is deck number 4. And then the 5th deck that I am excited to work with in 2019, it comes in the biggest freaking box. Again, I have a video gushing about this one, and that is the Bonfire Tarot, which I will try and get out of this horrendous box. So I'm only going to get out half the cards, actually, because I'm not going to have time to show you them all anyway. So again, I kind of gush all over this one in the walkthrough that I did, the flip through that I did of it. And so if you want to know more about why I'm really excited to work with this deck, do go and check out that video, because I do go into depth about why I like the art style and picking out all the different things in the cards that I like and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's not my favourite in terms of cardstock quality. It's another one that's really plasticky, and I'm not really keen on the plasticky feel of decks. I much prefer the kind of linen-y feel that you get of like the Light Seers, or the This Might Hurt, I think has got the best cardstock that I've had in a while. But I am very into tattoo artwork and tattoo style. It's something that that has a strong aesthetic pull for me. I just really, really love that style of artwork. I love the fact that the decks are busy. And I know that's one of the things that puts some people off about this deck, is how busy each of the cards are. But I actually love how busy these cards are, because it gives me so much to work with. And that's what I want. That's what I want. There are other decks which are beautiful, like the Naked Heart Tarot. Beautiful deck, but very, very sparse in its imagery, and it just doesn't give me personally enough to draw from and to pull on, whereas this has so much going on that it wouldn't matter if you had the same cards coming up again and again and again, because every time they come up there'll be something new to see, and I freaking love it. Yeah, I'm so excited to use this deck in 2020. I'm not going to gush about it anymore, because I've already done all my gushing, and I really don't think you need to hear me gush again. So those are my top 5. We have the Bonfire Tarot. This one is by Gabby Angus West, by the way. I didn't say that. The Ellis deck by Taylor Ellis. The Triple Goddess Tarot. Again, this is by Jamie Elford. Artwork by Franco Rivoli. The Modern Witch Tarot deck, and the Light Seers Tarot. So those are the top 5 decks that I'm looking forward to working with in 2020. Do you have plans for what decks you're going to be working with in 2020, and which ones are you most excited about? I really would love to know. So again, either tell me in the comments or do your own VR and then drop me a note in the comments to say that you've done it, so I can go and check it out. Otherwise, lots of love, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.